We're live.
We're
What's
live.
up, everybody? JB disappeared. He's leaving us.
Hey, you got it, dude. It's all you. It's all you,
I'm just hanging out here by the fire.
Dude, wow. We are like at the end of the year, and this is crazy. I remember when this year started. I was like, I hope this year goes by slow. That didn't happen.
Flew by.
It flew by. So, welcome. We have 6 people on, and we have the one and only C-Tech, aka, you mind if I say your name?
Yeah, for sure.
Barry. Today, this is our third live that we've done together.
Yep.
And I did put in my community page that truck stuff was going to be here, but dummy me did not know that you can only do 2 on these types of lives. So stay tuned. I will have truck stuff with us maybe in the future. And I think actually you want to invite some other people too, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be real fun. I think that format's going to be a blast. I look forward to that.
Okay. Having 4 or more YouTubers together, I mean, that could be trouble, man. I'm just saying, especially truck guys. Truck guys too? Oh my goodness. We might tick off some people, man. So,
Heck
hey,
yeah.
what's up, Boston Aviation? You're first. Yes, sir. Thank you, bro. Thanks for joining. And Fletcher tuning
I
in
got the
from.
chat open.
Oh, good. Is it Bozeman Mount? How's it going, fellas? We're doing good. Finally get to see you live. Yep.
Man,
Something about
Bozeman,
deleting my
that's
truck.
God's country.
Amen.
Gosh, I love it there.
Good to see you guys too. What's up, Dan? Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm pretty sure people are going to just trickle in. So, hey, Barry, what's up with your girl? What is up with your girl?
My girl. Who are we talking about? Is this Tulsi?
Ellen DeGeneres. No, Ellen DeGeneres. What's up with your girl?
We froze up. Oh, there we are. All right.
What's up with your girl, man? Like, I heard she's leaving the U.S. Ellen DeGeneres.
Wow.
What's up with that, man?
I don't know. You know, it's funny you say that. I just heard Robert De Niro's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So
a few people are actually leaving the country over an election. The rhetoric works, dude. That's what we know.
I don't think it's all that bad. I still think it's a pretty great country. I can't wrap my mind around people doing that, but hey, to each their own.
Yeah, I'm still shocked by. Never mind. We'll talk about that later. So we got to discuss the elephant in the room. Obviously, Mr. Donald J. Trump will be the 47th president. And there's a lot of stuff still happening behind the scenes with the EPA. What do you think is going to happen now that we have a real leader in office? And do you see what my hat says, by the way?
Support your local diesel shop. That's awesome. I love it.
This is who sent me this hat to you, by the way. Bank sent this hat to me.
GB.
And yeah, it's my favorite hat, dude. I love this hat. I get a lot of compliments on this. So, but yes, what are your thoughts now that we have a Republican back in office? Do you think that we can now delete our trucks?
This will be my whole thing. Deleting trucks technically has always been illegal.
Mm-hmm.
No one just ever enforced it. So it's kind of like if you have a law in place and no one enforces it, it's kind of like your speed limit's 70, but if there's never a cop to enforce it, it's a free for all.
Yep.
What I see happening is I don't see them changing the law. That's in true fairness for current vehicle. But I think what will happen is I think it's possible things could be relaxed where people aren't enforcing it as much. From an EPA standpoint, obviously certain states like Montana and others, even like Michigan where I'm at, we don't have emissions testing, tailpipe testing. Some states do, like California. Now, what I think is the real question is what happens with future legislation around vehicle development and powertrain development, because that's really what we're really about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been saying this for a while and I still kind of believe it. Everybody wants more power, but at the same time, at what cost? I mean, I feel like these new trucks, like a high output Power Stroke, the thing's got so much power. Do you actually really need more than 500 horsepower and 1,200 foot-pounds of torque? No, I think what I really want is fuel economy more and reliability, mostly reliability. I just don't want to break down. That's why 99% of people want to delete their diesel because they want reliability. They're tired of
Yeah.
the emissions bullcrap, breaking them down on the highway, traveling across the country. Um, so I would like to see just more reliability, you know?
No, I agree with you. And really, having more reliability means removing 90% of the emission stuff. I mean, I'm not against some emissions equipment. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure there is a negative effect on exhaust fumes. And some people want that. My only issue is if I want to change something on my truck, it shouldn't be illegal. That's all I'm saying. Some people will not delete their truck because they do want to help the environment. That's good.
Yeah.
I do believe that I would like to get rid of EGR. That would be the first thing. Like if I could just take off a few things, that's the first thing I would take off.
Yeah, totally. I
100%.
mean, and it's funny because the industry, and I know we've talked about this in the past on the channel, but like my career has been in powertrain in the automotive industry. And
Mhm.
in fact, I know a lot of the guys probably watching this video are going to hate me for saying this. Part of my career was developing after treatment systems for
Oh.
vehicles, especially diesel. And so I've seen the charts where it shows the particulate matter and the hydrocarbons, where you saw diesels from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to 2000s, and you see the emissions get less and less and less and less. We're at the point right now, the EPA regulations in the last few years, it's chasing diminishing returns. You've already eliminated 99% of the emissions from what these engines used to produce. You know what they're chasing now? 99.9. So they're chasing thousands of dollars in content and reliability for an extra 0.9% of extra. And it's silly because if you thought about the amount of money and billions of dollars in development that goes into this, if you could take that same amount of energy and put it into other things, like as an example, small gas engines, like in a little weed eater, lawnmower, things like that, they put out a ton
Mhm.
of hydrocarbons and things like that. So you can see there'd be more value add in focusing on that, but there comes downsides to that too. Landscapers can't work on battery powered equipment all day. But I think
Absolutely.
at this point, what we're starting to see is, if you guys want to see something wild, go look up class 6 to class 8 diesel after treatment systems, and you're going to see these big diesel trucks have electric heated catalysts in the exhaust system. So you not only have urea, but you have electric heaters in the exhaust system to heat it up to help it meet emissions. And guess what? There's a solid chance this is coming to our pickup trucks in the next few years, unless something changes with future legislation.
Gee whiz. Yeah, and yeah, to answer that same question, I don't think that this one term will change anything either. I believe that we would need to be in office for at least 3 terms for there to be a actual difference in the EPA. Now with the DOGE, hopefully they can find time to make their way to the EPA and get rid of that entire uh Looney Tune group. So I think that they're probably the biggest issue that I've seen so far because they're going after small businesses, suing them because of parts that they sell. And there's really no proof that the elite systems that they're selling is actually having an effect on the environment. Like there's it's just their word against ours, basically.
Seems like there's more important things to worry about.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean hopefully I have been looking at a aftermarket company who sells weight loss program, if you know what that is, for my truck. And it's like it's saved on my desktop right now. I'm like, I go look at it every single day. It just got released like a few months ago. And I'm like, gosh, should I do it? Should I do it? Because obviously, you lose your warranty. That's the biggest thing. You lose warranty. And you can't take it back to the dealership after you do it. So and I would have to, sadly enough, Utah does have emissions for diesel. Even in Maryland, we didn't have emissions for diesel. They had it for
Interesting.
gasoline, but for diesel, you didn't have to do it. But out here, I'd probably have to re-register my truck in another state.
Wow,
So,
that's a
so
lot of
that's
effort. That's a lot of
I
effort.
know.
You
So
got to
that so
figure you got a $25,000 engine minimum,
minimal.
plus a transmission. I wouldn't be so worried about the engine having problems. I'd be more worried of the trans tuning messing up the transmission. I think that's a more
Yeah.
likely thing I'm worried about. And I kind of worry around the current weight loss programs. How many of these individuals have solid transmission calibration capability left?
Yeah.
because 99% of the weight loss programs have been ended. So you've got
Yeah.
what's left kind of running in the, the dark web kind of thing.
Sure. And to your point, I mean, I don't want a big performance gain. Like, I'm not looking for 600 horsepower, 1,200 pound-feet of torque. I mean, if I can get 50 horsepower and maybe 150 pound-feet of torque, that's all I want. I want a more reliable tune. And obviously, I want them to know what they're doing, obviously, with the air fuel mixture too, with the tune as well. But there's still a lot of things I need to do. I need to call the company to see if they know what they're doing, obviously. But I just keep looking at the package. It's like, I want to say it's like $2,000 for everything. It's EGR. They even do the CCV, relocate, and obviously the tuning for it too, and of course the exhaust system. 4-inch or 5-inch exhaust. Someone let me know in the comment section too as we flip over. So so you think that we're not going to see any changes within this administration for EPA with diesels?
I I think what this is just my opinion. I just think you'll see a relaxation in enforcement in certain areas. I think you'll see more enforcement at the border. I think you're going to see a lot more enforcement at the border now, and maybe you'll see less enforcement in the EPA. But the big thing is like, okay, so you got the vehicles that are already out there and deletes and or weight loss and all that jazz. But I'm more thinking future powertrain development. The Duramax of 2028 model year or the Power Stroke of 2029 model year. If there's an EPA change, will the car manufacturers have enough time to make a pivot right now to start eliminating content, or are they too far down the development track for General Motors, Ford, and Cummins to say remove this component, remove that component, or is it already too late? You know what I mean? So, because for those of the guys watching, wait till you see the emissions. I think it's either 2028, 2030. The
Mhm.
GVW about above, I think it's 8,500 or 10,000 pounds. Man, stuff's going to get insane. I mean, you're going to
Yeah.
have more particulate matter drop, more urea injection, and electric heated catalyst. So, I mean, there's going to be a full chemistry experiment going on in the exhaust system.
Yeah, no, I get that. So let's
But
go ahead and read some of these comments really quickly
yeah,
too. So my buddy David Brown's in here. He says delete it all. Yes, I do want to do that.
hey, go blue for the
Yeah.
Michigan guy.
So I see Fletcher here. He says no emissions in Montana. Hey, can I get your address at the end of this live so I can register my truck there? And then Demetrius, not right now, but maybe after February. We'll see. Let's start a petition from John. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Gilbert Alvarado, same in Wyoming. Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Be sure to like the video, by the way, too. Thank you, Danielle. And then Dan, Nebraska, real. I don't know what that means. And then Mr. Keith, I can't wait to delete my 2024 RST Redline LZO. Yes. I bet you can get 34, 35 MPG probably with that bad boy. And then Turbo Diesel said the government should worry more about illegals right now. Amen. I agree.
Man, I can't imagine a deleted LZO. What a little ripper. That motor's awesome stock. I can't imagine because the only downside to the LZO and these 3 liter diesels, the small ones, is the urea. Man, they suck up the death. I mean, I know we
Yeah.
talked about this last time, but we did that 1,000-mile towing trip with an LZO, and we burned through like 8 gallons of DEF towing in 1,000 miles. Now,
That's
granted, we
crazy.
were towing it way too fast, and it was a 29-foot enclosed trailer, but I could not believe we went through 3 jugs of DEF in one trip.
She was, yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy, man. Yeah, the if we were to be able to delete, I think that the engines would be a little bit more efficient. But to your point, man, that transmission, I didn't even think about that. That's the one thing that you really, and I did a video on this 2 weeks ago actually about, met a master tech. He's been with GM for 28 years. And he told me that the 10L 1000 is trash. He says, I wouldn't touch one. He says he would rather go back to the 6 speed if he had to, or yeah. And I told him I had a 2024. He's like, yeah, wow. He said, I feel bad for you then. I'm like, dang, dude, like
Hit you hard, man. Hit you hard.
he hit between the eyes. Yes, he did.
I mean, look at the Ford guys, man. You know how you tease me about being a Ford fanboy, but dude, Ford's had a tough go on the 10 speed, and they claim it's all good now. And I've got two 10-speed Fords in my driveway right now. And one's had a CDF rebuild at 58,000 miles. And then I got a Gen 1 Raptor with the old school tried and true transmission, a 6-speed,
Mhm.
160,000 miles on it, and it shifts perfect
Wow.
every single time. So I like the performance, man, of the 6-speed, and the performance is so incredible. Or sorry, of the 10-speed. The 10-speed transmission performance is amazing. But it's like if you did think you wanted reliability, it's pretty hard to go away from the 6-speed.
I
This,
know.
you know what's funny though? You know who might have this nailed? Ram for 25. With this 8-speed, if a ZF transmission, it's already the ZF 8-speed, the best light duty
Beast.
transmission in the industry,
Mhm.
hands down. So now you put that beefy quality transmission behind the Cummins, dude, they might have a dynamite setup on that.
Yeah. Well, they have it now, and even though Ram gets a lot of hate, the Eisen transmission, if you most people don't do the 30,000-mile interval. I did
Yep.
mine, and
Yep.
it's just like with anything. If you take care of what you have, you won't have problems. I've known people who've had 68 RFEs. I've said this many times, even though even Josh, disagrees with me. I think the 68 RFE is a good transmission if you take care of it. I've known a few guys that did hot shot 500,000 miles on 35s,
Yep.
no problems. One of those guys I met, he actually deleted his truck 450,000 miles last time I talked to him on his truck. No problems.
Amazing. Amazing.
So,
The only
yeah.
downside I've seen to the Eisen is when it's unloaded, they've got a very medium duty, kind of clunky transmission feel. But
Yes.
man, dude, they also feel so confident, inspiring when they're
Oh,
shifting.
yeah.
They feel so good.
No, 100%. David Brown says 6-speed Eisen with the PPEI tuning. So there it is.
That's a good
Yeah,
weight
I
loss
think.
program.
Yeah, yeah. I think that as far as transmissions go, that guy that I met who worked for GM, he said that Ford and GM did co-develop the HD's transmission together too. So he confirmed that. I could never get a definitive answer on it. He says no, they did. I know that Ford did some changes to theirs, but
So
they were developed together.
it's the second time Ford and General Motors have done co-development in a powertrain for a transmission. They did it back in, man, I think it was 2002, 2003, and they developed the 6-speed transmission. So when the
Okay.
6-speed came out in the 1500s, with Ford and GM, they come up with they call proof of concept, and they work together, they share engineering resources, and they come up with here's your packaging requirements, here's the torque requirements, fit it in this space, and then the teams they go and design this, and when it gets to it works from a prototype standpoint, both companies divided and then they went their separate way for manufacturing feasibility. So then if you GM design with their intent of their practices and Ford's got their own standard, but they do co-develop that. So but
Yeah.
but what's wild is Ford and GM had to go together to co-develop a transmission to compete with ZF Ram's 8-speed trans, and it's still not as good. It's still not as good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have friends that have the 10R 140 from Ford, and they all, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure most of them are over 50,000 miles, and they say they've had no issues with them. Most of them tow heavy or tow regularly. But I don't know anyone that's had an issue with the 10L 1000. Mine is actually, I don't like mine. Mine in my AT4X, terrible. It has like this shutter and it's only gotten worse. Like I actually have the iDash from Banks now, and I can see what gear I'm in, and I now know that it's happening between sixth and seventh gear. So now I'm able to
Interesting.
kind of figure out where it's happening at, and it feels terrible. And I
Are- are-
might next time. Go ahead.
is the shutter going sixth to seventh gear?
Yeah, it's actually it's like a downshift. So whenever I give it
Mm,
about 40-50% throttle, going about 50 miles, 40, 50 miles an hour, and I give it about a little bit, about 50%, I would say, it's like a shutter. It almost feels like it wants to like almost turn off almost. That's what it feels like. But
interesting.
it's like a
Because
stone.
normally a shutter is due to something slipping, like the clutch
Yeah.
packs or torque converter or something along that line. But
Yeah. But
yeah.
this is my third 10L 1000, I believe. Hold on. I've had a 2023 that had it. I've had two 2024 Chevys. This is my fourth one. The last 3 trucks I had, one was a gas, none of them had this problem. They were
Hmm.
all 1 tons too, by the way, so that could be
Wow.
a factor too, maybe, and
Yeah.
it could be the torque converter, but I don't think so. I think it's literally just it's like the transmission's either just not knowing what gear it needs to be in, so then it downshifts too. I don't know. I can't
Hmm.
even explain it. It's just it doesn't feel good. It feels like it could potentially be failing. That's what it feels like to me. So
Interesting. You better
so next
keep
time I
that
take it in
thing
for service.
intact.
What's that?
You better keep that thing intact.
Yeah, I know. Now that again, so with this new administration, do you think that manufacturer will probably introduce gas engines again?
um,
I mean, I'm sorry,
so
I said gas. I'm sorry, not gas engines, V8 engine. Excuse me.
I know I'm gonna probably have a very unpopular opinion on this because I love V8s and I fell back in love this old school Gen 1 Raptor project I got right now. Man, this thing is slow as can be, but when you hear the sound of that V8, it just makes you feel good. It's like I can get into a brand new Raptor and it's still, even though it's way faster, that V8 is just something special.
Yeah,
With that being said, okay, so number one, V8s never went anywhere for General Motors and Ford. I mean,
that's true.
They
That's
still got
true.
a V8 and a half ton. With Ram, I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I think no chance. I think the Hemi is gone.
Really?
Yeah, just because for a few reasons. The Hemi was so antiquated from emissions and fuel economy. It was so further down on fuel economy and emissions versus Ford's Coyote and GM's LS LT powertrain. They had to come up with a more fuel efficient option. So, and at this point in time, I don't see them redeveloping a whole new V8 architecture because they'd probably have to go from a pushrod motor to a dual overhead cam. You're talking billions of dollars in development. And
Hmm.
so I think it's ride or die for Hurricane from here on out. And yeah, and I know we talked about this. I'm gonna have a video talking about the Hurricane because a lot of people got some concerns about it. But when I was at SEMA talking to the Chrysler and Mopar powertrain guys, I feel a whole lot better about that motor now, knowing what kind of abuse they put this thing through. Um, the downside is you're not going to get that V8 sound. It's not going to happen. But I'll tell you what, a Supra, a 2JZ, some of these motors that are inline six cylinders that just sound nasty,
Hmm.
I'm not against that either. You make 1,000 horsepower with one of these things, that'd be pretty sweet, you know?
Yeah, well, the Hurricane is overbuilt too, for sure. I that is very sad to see that because even with Toyota, like I've said this many times, if Toyota would have kept the 5.7 for 3 years and put that 10 speed behind it, oh my gosh! Like I
Yep.
think that, and then of course, maybe did higher gear like at 373 because I think they were running a 430 on the 5.7 with the 6 speed,
Wow.
and with that, I mean that truck got terrible gas miles,
Terrible.
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 Yeah,
Yep.
and I think they just shot themselves in the foot. But did you see the video I did on GM with what they basically in a meeting that my friend was in? They basically did they put up a slide that basically said EVs allow them to sell or allow them to continue to sell internal combustion engines. So
It's a fact.
For one EV that they sell, they're allowed to sell 30 internal combustion engines. I don't know if you saw that video, but
No, but I mean it's a standard knowledge in the automotive industry. It's like it's got kind of look at it like this. You got a bank account coming in and you got $100 to live on. And you've got this credit that if you can use this credit, you can get an extra $100 a month. So then you can live on $200. Whereas if you don't have that credit, you're going to burn $100 in your ICE engine. That's EV because of the cafe credits and all that. And so, as much as people hate it and give Ford a hard time about the Mach-E and the Lightning,
mhm.
that's it allows them to give the Ford Mustang still around with a V8. I don't see a Charger with a V8. I don't see a Camaro with a V8. But Ford makes a Mach-E and a Lightning to help their fleet average enough to give other people. So it's just a trade off, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it just sucks because they say the quiet part out loud. I mean, if you can pretty much tell they're trying to control what we can buy. Like for every one EV that sells, you're allowed to produce internal
Well,
combustions.
so that's the future emissions. It's 60% of the fleet. I'm going to butcher this, and someone can correct me. I don't remember it verbatim, but it's like in 2027, if you have like 60% of your fleet has hit a certain average, dude, you could make a freaking Hellcat in whatever you want, as long as the certain percentage of that is this. But the
Yeah.
biggest part today is the carbon credits. So like a company like Tesla, all they do is produce carbon credits because they're manufacturing only electric vehicles, or a Rivian or a Lucid. And then you got Ram with a TRX and a Hellcat just buying carbon credits. So when you know when if they're selling it for 95,000, they might have to buy, I'm quote unquote, they might have to buy like $8 or $10,000 in credits for that vehicle because the greenhouse gas is so bad. So
Jeez.
that's all part of the package. And actually adding to this, I think the future, without current the new administration changes coming, I think if you wanted a V8 truck in the future, I think you're going to pay a massive penalty because they're going to tack on even more greenhouse credits required from the manufacturer. So you'd be in the whole 15 grand. So GM, Ford, Chrysler, they'd have to add 15 grand to the price tag for it to make it financially make sense for them to sell the vehicle. I don't think that'll happen now.
Yeah. Well, nevertheless, it's definitely like misleading. I feel like if EVs are supposed to succeed, then they need to carry their own weight. And basically, what they're saying is they know that no one wants an EV, especially in a truck. Right now, people are buying them, but the people who use trucks for what their purpose is,
It
they're not gonna ever decide to get an EV to do that. I mean, I would never buy an EV truck to tow. Like if I were to go cross country again, the last truck on my mind is an EV.
I,
I mean,
I've said it a bunch of times. Buying an EV truck to use as a truck is like intentionally buying a diaper that leaks. You're putting your kid in a diaper, and this thing's gonna leak. Why would you buy a diaper that leaks? It's a silly design.
right.
Now, with that being said, I welcome the idea of an EV truck that can give me 300 miles of towing range and I
Yeah.
can refill it in 3 minutes with no maintenance. That's awesome because
Yeah.
that's a diesel truck. If I can do that, I'm on board.
Right.
But that could be 25 years from now.
Well, the Ram Charger, I will say, Ram never gets the love they deserve. When they came out with the Ram Charger, I literally was like, my goodness,
Dude,
like this is the
game changer.
greatest thing we've ever
Yes.
seen. And
Yes.
no one is talking about it. No one is
100%.
trying to duplicate this.
I
Like it was
agree.
the greatest thing I've ever seen. And it's like, nope, no one cares. I'm like, and then probably 5 years from now, this is gonna be the greatest thing is sliced bread. You
100%.
know, and everyone will forget that Ram came up with this. So
Yeah,
that's why I
totally.
say,
Well, yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
It, well, it's funny you say this. You know who was the original creator, in my opinion, of the Ram Charger was Chevrolet. When the Chevrolet
Okay.
Volt came out, all the Volt is a car version of the Ram Charger.
True.
You got this little gas engine that is just a generator and it gives you a little range. The difference is the Ram Charger gives you 140 miles of range. And I think it's awesome too. And I've done some videos on it. I'm super impressed by it. I think it'd be the perfect truck for someone that uses a truck as a truck. And what's funny about it is Ram's not the only one going after this now. I've heard Ford's doing this, but bigger than that, which is already public information, is look at the new Scout. Have you seen the new Scout?
I have.
Dude, the Scout Harvester is a Ram Charger. It's all it is. It's a plug-in hybrid.
Jeez. Yeah, see, yeah, I haven't done any research on it. I've just seen that they released it, like unveiled it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I really hope that Ram can release the Ram Charger soon because I would like to see how it feels to have that generator. I know that they actually delayed the REV for a much later date, and that's probably because of this administration that's coming in too. So that's not great news for some people, obviously. But at the end of the day, hey, we'll have to see what happens next year. I mean, there's just a lot of changes that are going to probably come down the pipeline, and hopefully it'll be for our benefit as consumers.
Sure. I mean, if I was Stellantis management right now, I'd be saying, all right, we got the Ram Charger coming and we've got the Rev.
Yep.
Dude, I would delay the Rev and bring forward the Ram Charger because that is a truck there'd be no competitor in the market. Ford doesn't have
Yeah.
anything. GM doesn't have anything. I just think it's awesome. I call it,
Yeah.
like I've told you before, I think it's the most ultimate freedom truck you can possibly get. You want to use gasoline? Cool. You want to plug it into your house? Cool. You want to charge it off solar? Cool. You want to use only level 3 chargers? Cool. What other vehicle can you use that you could use multiple forms of propulsion?
Yep.
Amazing.
Oh yeah. And again, like I said, we'll have to wait and see what Ram does, but they're always late to the party, as we can see. That's why they're having issues right now with not building, V8 engines anymore because they don't have anything to, supplement their cafe whatever agreement they have. But Ford, they have the Ford Lightning, like you said, the Mach-E, and so they're able to continue to build those V8s because of that.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and read some of these comments here.
Sure.
We're going to start wrapping up here soon. My goodness, like you guys have been busy in here.
Looks like some guys having a 10-speed GM problem.
Oh, want to
I
read that
don't
one?
know. What's this? He says, guy's got 11,000 miles on his LZO, loves it more and more. I don't blame you. That's a sweet truck. 24 3500 dually. It's having shift issues. Why is GM 10 speed the one that's having the problem and not Ford's if it's co-developed? Man, if anything, I'd say Ford's having more problems than GM. To me, I can't speak to the 10R or the 10R 140 and the HD, but man, the 10R 80 in the half ton has had a lot of problems. I'll stick with my 4th gen Ram 3500 and 6-speed Aizen. Can't blame you there, especially when you start hearing about the 5th gen valve train issues. That's scary.
Hmm.
24 Silverado 3500 is getting stuck in 5th gear. It even tripped the tires. I wonder if that's sort of like the issue you're having. Huh. I had a buddy
Possible.
that bought a Rivian and picked it up 1,500 miles, and it took him 3 days to get home. That's actually funny.
That is funny.
Hey, he made
Well,
it home though.
yeah, I know.
That's
Mr. Keith said GM's fix is a software update with a warning that it's an upcoming issue, not updating the valve body like they should. That was from Mr. Keith, and I agree with that too.
Yeah. He says the problem with the Ram Chargers, it has a range of 690 miles with full charge. 690 is still a lot though. I mean, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, with the LZO with that 20, if they were to do a 30-gallon fuel tank on the LZO, could you imagine that?
you
I
could be a
mean,
thousand miles.
yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure. I tell you, the LZO to me is one of the best motors General Motors has came out with in a while. Now taking outside of the new Z06, Z01, the LT6, LT7, that is just a straight masterpiece of engineering technology. It's amazing.
Hmm.
But man, the LZO it's amazing. I freaking love that motor.
No, I agree. And like to your point, GM and Ford obviously have the V8s, but for GM to stay loyal to the LZO, and then they made it better because they upgraded from the LM2 to that engine. I mean, it just goes to show you that GM cares about their customer base. Like they know
100%.
their customer base. Stellantis doesn't know their customer base, and we see that because for Dodge they brought out what, the Hornet. Who
Or do
from
you
a
call it
Dodge?
the Horn, or is it the Hornet? It's a silent T.
Oh, that's
It's
funny, dude.
expensive
I
too,
like that.
man.
It is expensive, but the people who bought Dodge were Charger, Challenger, 700 horsepower plus. I mean, like, I would have never even introduced the Hornet.
Yeah.
Hornet, the Hornet, as
Yeah.
you call it, the Hornet. Oh, that's funny, dude. That is funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna do a video on one, and I'll be honest with you, I couldn't even make a video on it. I was like, I went and did content, and I'm like, dude, I can't. I'm lying right now. I can't even do a video on this vehicle. This is rough.
Oh yeah, do
I was
not
way
do
more excited to do a Mach-E video.
it. Oh, I did do a Hornet video, and I was like, man, I feel so gay right now.
Hey, in all fairness, I could see that platform like in Europe being like really successful. It's small, it's kind of sporty. It's
Yeah.
just not a US made. It's not a US. No,
Well, dude, again, who bought Dodges just 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I mean, for you to bring out a Dodge Hornet for that brand, I mean, that was the dumbest thing they ever did. And I still think that they don't know their customer base, and it just goes to show from that.
so I'm gonna hold hope, and I'm gonna tell you why. I worked with Chrysler when they went from, is it Cerebus or whatever holding company sold it to FCA, Fiat Chrysler. And
Hmm.
when Fiat Chrysler first switched, they were pushing the Fiat 500 so hard. and it was like everyone's looking at this. It's like, dude, we're in America, and they had like the Aberith or some version. It was like supposed to be super cool, and they're going after the Mini Cooper, and everyone's kind of looking at each other awkwardly, like, yeah, no one wants this. It was kind of a big flop, not as bad as the Hornet, but it was a big flop.
Yeah.
With that being said, FCA made a quick pivot, and Sergio Marchionne, the CEO at that time, he turned his company around, and it was
Yes.
incredible. I feel like we lived the best 10 years of Chrysler. They
Yes.
focused on quality, good powertrain. What did their vehicles always suck at? Rust and transmissions. They fixed both those problems.
He
So that was
did.
a home run. Um, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that these guys are gonna pivot with the Hornet and some of these decisions they're making, that they're gonna bring this thing around. And I know it's not a popular opinion. Guys love their Hemis. I get it. I loved mine too. Give this give this Hurricane a chance, because the Ford guys totally dismissed at the beginning the 3.5 EcoBoost for some good reasons back then, but that was
Yeah.
also 12 years ago. When that first came out, everyone's like, no one will buy these things. The EcoBoost is like 75% of the truck sales today for the F-150, and everybody's got a choice to get a Coyote, and they still want an EcoBoost.
Still an Eagle Boost. True.
So in all fairness, I think from an architecture standpoint, design and reliability, I think this Hurricane's a better built engine than the EcoBoost.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, again, the inline six design, and I've already done some 0 to 60 runs. Comparing with the Ford EcoBoost,
Dude, they
it's
rip.
dude. And you're getting the RHO, aren't you? So
Yeah.
you will have the big horsepower engine, and I'm
Yep.
pretty sure it'll probably perform better. And I did hear that Ram's going to tune the exhaust so it has a nice exhaust note too. So
Yep.
it sounds good already. I think. I mean, for a six, it sounds decent for sure.
It's it's not great, but it's a band-aid over it. But yes, the
Yeah.
RHO, I'm hopeful, man. If I roll up in this thing, I'm at the dealership and it sounds rough, man, this is going to be a last minute decision. I'll tell you, if this thing just sounds terrible, like a Honda Ridgeline or something
Man,
ridiculous.
you're
Nothing
wrong.
against any with a Honda Ridgeline, but you don't want an RHO sounding like it. I might have to pass.
Yeah. Hey, but it looks cool though. It's like the guy at the gym that only works out his arms but doesn't do anything with his legs. That's what the
100%.
RHO is to me.
Yeah.
Just because of the inline six. But
Yep.
who knows? Maybe they will surprise us. I mean, it's going to be fast. It's
Yeah.
going to be fast.
Yep.
So
It's
yeah.
if you think about it, what's interesting is the Hurricane kind of, especially the RHO specifically, it bridges the gap between Raptor and Raptor R, or Raptor, or you could say TRX,
Hmm.
because the speed is considerably faster than standard Raptor, but it's not as fast as RHO. But the price point, if
Yeah.
Ram could ever fricking build these trucks, dude, they'd sell a ton of them right now. I really believe that. It's just they are struggling to get the ball rolling on these things. And I'm like pulling my hair out trying to get this truck.
Yeah. No, and to your point, I mean, even out here, out west, I have yet to see a limited night edition. Never seen a tungsten yet. So Ram is just like you said, they are struggling. They seem to, again, they make last minute decisions like killing off the 5.7. That was a bad decision. I think that they should have kept buying those credits from Elon Musk from Tesla and
Yeah.
built this 2025 with the 5.7. I think that what Ford did is they kept an option. They gave the customer an option. Hey, we're not going to shove this down your throat. We'll say, hey, we'll still build this V8 for you, but here's another, option for you. And I think that people would have probably still taken the inline six, because it's something new and it is faster. It is going to perform better overall. But it's
That
not.
would have that
Yeah.
would have been the right approach if you really think about it. Why did they not do that? I wonder if it's they couldn't manage the complexity of two different powertrains in that. But like, look what Ram Chrysler's done for the last 15 years. Every time they come out with a new generation vehicle, they run the last one for a year or two. The Ram Classic ran for 4 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't tell me you couldn't offer both the Hurricane and the Hemi for a 1 year and
Yep.
just see, are people liking it? Are they not? There had to have been some sort of complexity in their supply chain, or maybe the plant. It's such a big mix up. Like, I've heard getting that long inline six cylinder in the packaging of the vehicle is so much different than
Hmm.
just a V8 to a V6, because like different radiators and different stuff. So it might have created too much of a mix up or something. I don't know, but it would have been fun to see it because then you could give the Hemi guys what they want, Hurricane people, and then convert people whichever direction makes sense.
But to your point, though, I mean, they still make the Durango, RT and
So
the
Durango,
392.
so that's funny, and I'm going to talk about that on a video soon.
Uh-huh.
Everybody, and there's some other YouTubers talking about specifically the Durango RT, and it's saying that you can still get into Hemi, and you're going to get into Hemi for years to come. That
Mhm.
is going to be the only Hemi, besides the heavy duty 2500, 3500 available.
Right.
That's going to be it. So a lot of people are taking that, like, well, you're still making a Hemi, they're going to put it back in the 1500. Man, I'll bet money on that. Hemi's not coming back for the Ram 1500. I feel
Yeah.
confident, unfortunately. But as long as the motor's reliable, if the worst thing you got to deal with is a terrible exhaust sound, it could be worse.
True. No, I agree. And like I said, for the tuners out there, people who want to get a little bit more power of their engine, I mean, with turbos, I mean, the sky's the limit, really. I mean, you can get bigger turbos. There's so much you can do with that engine now that you have that forced induction. But yeah,
Totally.
yeah, this is a great conversation, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in with me.
No, this
This
is
is
fun.
fun. Yeah,
We
it's
need to do
always
it
good to
again.
talk to other YouTubers. I
No,
only talk to a few, and yeah, but this is fun. I definitely enjoy doing this, and hopefully you guys enjoy it too. But we'll have to next year plan on having more guys with us and have a conversation about these trucks. But I'm looking forward to the future. I mean, I'm hoping that we can see some relaxation in the EPA and the emissions. And then on top of that, who knows? Maybe Ram can reintroduce a V8 to the half ton pickups. That would be like to your point. I kind of agree with you too. It would be pointless for them to do that. But having that second option is what Ford has done well. Like they give customers an option. GM, I'm shocked that they haven't discontinued the 5.3 and added a inline six or a V6 twin turbo. But they're still rolling with their V8 options too.
that was the plan. GM was canceling the V8s and they were going inline on two different variants, and that got canceled. And there's future engines coming that I think their timing, GM's timing, could be an impeccable home run with the administration changes just came. They could be
Mhm.
setting themselves up really well here in a few years. And
I
I don't
agree.
think, and I think it was an accident, but it could work out as a home run. But man, speaking of GM, you think about it, they're giving customers a 3 liter diesel, the LZL. They're
Mhm.
giving customers on a budget a 2.7 Turbo Max that I think that motor's phenomenal. I really
Oh
do.
yeah.
Unless you're towing heavy, it's amazing. And then two V8 options, dude, incredible. I mean, they're really giving everybody the best right now.
No, I agree with you, and that's what I'm saying. Like when they know their customer base, and right now the 2.7 Turbo Max, it is a good engine, regardless of what people say. Yeah, it's a four-cylinder truck, but for people who want to lease something really cheaply and they just need something to go back and forth to Lowe's to pick up a few things,
Yep.
that's a great option for them. I mean, not everybody wants to drive a sedan anymore, and really a lot of people don't. So it's either
Yep.
an SUV or the next best thing is a truck. So yeah, I agree with
Yep.
you on that. You got any
No,
more closing remarks here?
no, I was just going to say, I appreciate your idea and coming up with this and including me. This is awesome. You've got a great channel. You got a great group of people following. It's been fun. You bring a lot of fun to it. And no, I appreciate all you do, and it's fun. And I'd like to do more of this. This style of format I think is fun. And I hope
Oh
if
yeah,
any of your followers want to look at any of my stuff, they're always welcome to come check our stuff out. And JB and I talk. We're buddies. We love helping each other out. So
absolutely. Yeah, if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to C-Tech Review. Right after you jump off of this live, hit them up.
yeah, I appreciate that.
I like to see smaller YouTube channels grow. You guys have seen what Truck Stuff has done. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today because, like, I think I told you guys, you only can do two people on this form of lives. But yeah, again, like if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to C-Tech, support his channel. He has great content. And he's at a lower elevation, so with his videos, you guys can compare what I do at this higher elevation to his lower elevation because you're at sea level, right?
Yeah, so I'm at about anywhere between 800 and 1,500 feet of elevation, which is a big deal, man. This is where it's cool seeing what you guys do
Mm-hmm.
versus us. It's people don't realize if sea level guys don't realize, because I've been out west a lot, towed out there. Here's where a V8 struggles. You take a natural aspirated V8, which I've done many times. and you pull it from Michigan and you get into mountains in Montana or Bozeman, and you're like, dude, is this got a Honda 4-cylinder in it? All the power, it's gone. But if you got a Hurricane, if you got any boosted engine, if you got a EcoBoost or a Power
Mhm.
Stroke or a Cummins, whatever, Duramax, dude, they don't skip a beat. They keep making
Nope.
power at
Oh,
elevation.
yeah.
So when you say a 7.3 out by you, dude, we got to do a review at 7.3 at sea level, because I think it'll blow your mind how much stronger it is.
Oh, yeah, I bet. I mean, I'm willing to bet. Like, so I have a video coming probably this weekend, 7.3. It's a 2023 truck. Unfortunately, it still has a 373 rear. Cannot wait for you guys to see how well it did. Now, it was cold, but yeah, it did pretty well. Obviously, going up the grade compared to the other competitors, and the 6.8 I did too. So, yeah. But again, I appreciate you jumping on this. This is fun. This
No,
really
thanks,
is,
man.
and you're knowledgeable too. You have a lot of knowledge about trucks and the market and things like that. So, yeah.
No, happy to help. No, thanks for
Cool.
doing this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And C Tech. Yep. There it is. Thank you, Barth. Yeah, that is his channel. So be sure to go and hit him up, guys.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Later.
See ya.